welcome to another edition of our three memorable games, where we get a player on who's played for the club, and he's going to talk through three of the games that he most remembers from his time at the club. And today we have Dale Hackney. Dale, welcome.
Morning, Scotty, or your evening.
My evening, yeah. How's things?
Yeah, good, mate. Yeah, not bad at all, thank you.
Good. So a little bit about you, Dale. You joined the club in 2010. Where were you playing before then?
Yeah, I did. I played all of my childhood cricket, my early cricket in Lordswood, in Kent, which is where I grew up. And I moved to the area, I think in about 2005, 2006. I bought a property, actually. I bought a place in Northumberland Crescent in 2008. So I saw the boys out there playing on a Saturday, but it was Jamie Lewis, actually. Jamie Lewis, who's a good mate of Spearsy. Yeah. I think he's been a good sponsor to the club, actually, Jamie, quite a bit over the years.
Played for a little while.
I worked with Jamie, and Jamie introduced me to Spearsy. And I think one conversation in the early hours of Baker's Bar on a Saturday night, Sunday morning, I think, was when the contract was signed, and my Southend career began.
Good stuff. Okay, I didn't realise that's how it was. I knew there was a connection with Spearsy, but that was it. Great stuff. So, coming on to your games, you're all three are from 2013, the year you were captain.
And that wasn't done on purpose. That wasn't done on purpose either. To try and pick three games was a tough ask, and then to realise they was all in my year made me try and look like I was important and I was controlling things. But a reluctant captain, no, I was okay with it. I quite look forward to it. I probably didn't realise how much work there was involved with it. Yeah. Spearsy done it for a good few years, and then Dainsy took it for a season, I think, before I did. But no, not reluctant. I enjoyed it. It was good.
Good. Okay, so we'll come on to your first game now, which it's a non-competitive game really, but also a very big game for the club. It was the Essex game, organised by the then chairman Stuart Leslie, which big game for the club because big crowd, and as I say, against Essex, also against it's the David Masters testimonial. Someone you're familiar with, David?
Yeah, so I played with Hoddy. So he was my first ever captain. So Dave was from Kent, and he played most of his early career at Lordswood. So Dave's probably maybe 5-6 years older than me. So in kind of the under 17s comp, when I got my first gig at kind of an 11, 12-year-old, he was my skipper. And great guy, really, really good guy. And done so much with his cricketing ability. He probably wasn't the most gifted cricketer sort of in that setup that we had at Lordswood at the time, but definitely was wanted it the most. But go back a long way with Dave. Yeah, really good guy.
So did you captain against Essex that day?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. So so he skippered, and I skippered, and like you said, it was just a really good day. I think. Yeah. I don't know how many people were there. Maybe 500 or so people there.
Yeah, it was a fairly big crowd. 100 for lunch, I believe, something like that. So yeah,
and I think from memory, I think Essex, I think they've just qualified for the. I think they had this finals weekend of the Big Bash of the T20 that weekend.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And I think there was talks. I think they'd only just won their quarterfinals. They thought, were they going to bring a side down? Can they put players out because they didn't want anyone sort of turning an ankle or anything like that? But in the end, I think they put pretty much the full side out. I think pretty much everybody was here.
I've seen the photos at the club, and as you say, it looks a strong side. Mickleborough, Dave Masters, Martini played, Foster, I believe.
I think Napier.
Yeah.
I think weren't Sean Tate floating around as well? I think
he was
there overseas at the time.
Yeah, he was. So a good, strong side. So what were your memories of the actual game? Has it drifted by you a little bit?
Do you know what? The game itself, I don't remember loads. I remember they had a bat first. And got as many as they decided they wanted to get. No idea, 160, 170 odd. I do remember Joe Sibbons taking an absolute blinding catch at the long on boundary. I remember that pretty vividly. I remember Mickelberg smashing a few. But the actual game itself, I don't think we got anywhere near in the chase. But just the game itself was just a great day. The weather was there. Stu Leslie, like you said, the then chairman, done an unbelievable job putting everything together behind the scenes. I think Danny Saggers as well. Pat Kearney ran the bar. There was lots of different people that made it all happen. But I think it was nice it almost felt like we sort of put the club back on the map a little bit. I think when I joined in 2010, I think we'd been rock bottom of Division 3 for a couple of years before that.
Yeah.
You know, the clubhouse was just being refurbed. We was changing in, porter cabins. And I think in that 2010 season, I think we lost 7 of our first 9 games. But then to think sort of 3-4 years later, we'd been promoted a couple of times, or we'd certainly been promoted once. I think we was on the cusp of being promoted again.
Yeah.
Playing those types of games, in front of those types of crowds. It was good. Yeah, it felt like a real, not quite the glory days brought back, but obviously South Church Park's had some pretty fantastic cricket
Yeah.
being played on that over the years. And it was nice to bring that type of game back there.
As you say, it was a sign that the club was back on the up. Joe had signed by Joe Robbins, he'd have played that day. And that was a sort of stepping stone, that we were getting games like that, getting players like Joe, and things were very much on the up.
Yeah, it was a cracking period of time, because I think a lot of the boys, I don't know, take Newman and Waff. I don't know who played that day a lot, but I think a lot of those boys had gone away and played cricket elsewhere, and they'd all kind of come back at a similar time.
Yeah.
Poor old Spearsy, who sat here like the glue, trying to keep it all together when everybody else had set sail. But yeah, it was like the club was back on the map, and it was a good day. And to be fair, Dave still speaks about that day whenever I speak to him and whenever I catch up with him, because he'd always done well at Southend, didn't he? I mean, more typically Garrans, when they moved the festival at Garrans as opposed to South Church Park. But yeah, he always talks about it. He says it was a great day, good people. And yeah, so I know he was pretty fond of it, but it was just one of those days you sort of felt like, yeah, it was good. You felt like a bit of a mini superstar in Southend cricketing circles for 24 hours, which was nice.
Do you remember your bat that day? Did you bat against Dave?
Yeah, I wouldn't have been very good if I did bat. I think I batted, I don't know, 9 or 10. I don't even know if I got out there. I think I might have got out there for a ball at the end, at the non-strikers end.
But you didn't get out to him.
Yeah, No, I didn't get out of him. A few times as a kid I would have done, but no, thankfully I don't think he bowled at me, because it wouldn't have taken him much to get me out, I'm sure.
Well, as you say, that is more about the day and the club than the actual game itself. So we'll come on to your first game of the 3 now, which is competitive game, and this was 5 from the end of the season, away at Billericay, and it's the last of the timed games before you went into the 50 overs.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I remember it. Yeah, I remember it well, and I remember, funnily enough, Billericay was my first. I played my first game for the club at Billericay, which was obviously the first league game in 2010, and it pissed out and it got rained off. But I remember when we played there thinking, "Oh, this is a nice place to play cricket." Yeah, lovely facilities. But yeah, I remember this day. It was in August. We went up there, lost a toss, and they put us in.
correct.
And typically Billericay, you think good depth, and a good hard wicket, valley for runs, quick outfield. And we got off to a terrible start. We lost Joe early, which mentally for us shot us all, because Joe was our hero, Joe was our superstar. But we lost Joe early. Hassey, I don't know if anybody remembers Hassey.
Yeah.
The little offie in the bat. So he batted 3. So we lost Joe early. We lost Hassey early. Newey we lost early. So we were 20 odd for 3. That became 40 odd for 4. Joe Sibbons come and went pretty quick. And then it was Spearsy. It was Spearsy and Homer. So I think Spearsy batted 5, Homer 6. Them two stuck on 40 odd, which I appreciate doesn't sound like a huge partnership, but in the context of this game, it was a lot. Them two stuck on 40 odd. To be fair as well, Billericay had a side. Billericay had Paul Walter opened the bowling. Greg Hammond, who was a good club cricketer.
No, good cricketer. No.
Yeah, them two opened the bowling. So we were 40 odd for 4. Spearsy and Homer dug in and got us to 80 odd. I think Homer then got out. Chrissy Mayer come in. Chrissy Mayer and Spearsy then stuck on a few, probably another 40 odd. Got us up to about 120-ish, something like that.
118 for 6 when Spearsy was out.
And 118 for 6. And Spearsy, I tell you what, give Spearsy got 50 that day.
He did.
A good 50 as well. I remember he set one big bomb over the ropes and a few 4s. And I think it was John's the other week on his catch up with you guys, give Spearsy a bit of grief about batting at square leg. To be fair, that was a good attack, and he batted really well for us that day. But he got out. So yeah, Chrissy Mayer got 20 odd not out. I think Butch batted with him for a little while.
Yeah. I was
And
just going to say
got
about
a few.
Spearsy got 52 off 64. And when you've only got
Batted well.
154 in 52 overs, that's a very decent counter punch, and probably what you needed at the time, because quite a lot of your batsmen would be quite technical players. But Spearsy changed the game a little bit, not back in your
It
favour,
did.
but what you'd need.
Yeah, give us. It's funny. Spearsy, Homer, and Chrissy Matter. If you were to look at that side and say pick your three batsmen that are going to get you something to hopefully defendable on the board, you probably, no disrespect to those boys, but you probably wouldn't have picked the three of them.
No,
So yeah,
I was looking at your lineup, and with no Ben Wath and no Ross Dames, it's
yeah,
probably a bat or two light. As you say, no
yeah,
disrespect to the
and
guys who came in, but
nah. And then I appreciate Bells is a bowler, but you had no Bells either.
yeah,
I can't remember. We lost someone late because Petchy. I remember. I don't know if you remember John Petch.
yeah,
Petchy came
good
and played
cricketer.
for us.
Yeah, good left arm.
Um, Yeah, so he came in to play for us. So anyway, we just about scraped 150 odd together. But one of my biggest memories of this day is that, so Billericay, they must have had some sort of do going on. I don't know if it was a wedding or just whether it was just a drink up of some description. But if you remember Billericay, you've got the balcony that overlooks
Yeah,
the ground, and there's a massive group of fellas just on the ale all day. And every wicket that we're losing, you're getting this great big cheer from them. And it kind of really hurt because you think, oh, come on, lads. It's hard enough. It's hard enough as it is, let alone getting getting a send-off every time. So I just remember these boys just gradually got louder and louder throughout the day went on. I don't know what I batted, 9 or 10, something like that. And I remember getting out and getting all sorts of cheers. But I remember that vividly. So we posted 150 odd.
yeah.
Yeah,
You got 154. You scored 154.
154.
So at half time, having tea, what are your thoughts? Are you
Yeah.
confident, or
I,
are you thinking this has
I
gone
was
a little
I, was-
bit?
I was quite an angry captain at tea, especially if we hadn't done as well as I hoped that we would have done. So I probably wasn't great at tea, if I'm honest. Might sat on my own away from everybody else. But I guess with that score on the board, I guess you hope you've got a chance, but you think early wickets, you need early wickets.
Yeah,
And we went out and we didn't get early wickets.
no.
Joe, I think, yeah, Joe and
Go
Aaron
open with
Butcher
Butch.
opened the. That's right, Joe and Butch opened bowling, and yeah, I'm sure their opening partnership got off to a decent start. I think it was 30 odd, whatever it was, and it was actually AB that got the first wicket.
Was,
I
yeah,
remember AB got their
34.
first guy, 34. So we had them, yeah.
34.
So we got them to 34. Number 3 coming. Joe's picked up their number 3 fairly quickly. So they were 40 odd for 2. And then Joe picked up the second. Joe's picked up the third. I think Stevie Hunt's come into the attack. So we had him. I think we got him to 55, 57 or something like that for 2. But then we went bang, 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 bang. Joe picked up a couple. Hunty picked up a couple. And then 60 odd for 6 or something like that.
Yeah, I was just looking to, as you say, you went from 57 for 2, I believe, to 58 for 5. Both Joe and Steve Hunt picked up 2. Just
picked up 2.
Just getting away from Joe for a second, both Aaron Butcher and Steve Hunt have done you a real good job in that game, because if they get hit round the park, that's the game gone. You haven't got many runs to play with. And as well as Joe did, I think people might overlook just how well Aaron and Steve did at the other end, just keeping it tight. And that's, I guess, what you wanted from them.
Yeah, I've read both. I reckon Stevie Hunt, over the 10 or so years that I played at the club, he was a massive unsung hero with the ball, Hunty. He would do a little bit with it. I typically stand up to him behind the stumps, and it just worked. But he was definitely a bit of an unsung hero. That day certainly, but I think in all the times that he was at the club, and I think AB as well. Butch must have only been young then. I don't even know how old Butch is now, but
Butch now,
he was,
I believe, Butch would have been about 18, probably 18, 19 then.
Yeah, I reckon he might have even been a smidge younger. He might have been 18, 19, but he was pretty young. No, absolutely. Big contribution as well. And like you said, if you've only got 150 on the board and you've got the boys at the other end are going at 4, 5, 6 and over, there's no real pressure coming from Joe's end either.
No.
But I remember, but Joe bowled, he bowled quick that day on that real hard wicket. He bowled quick, but I remember going from, like you said, 50 odd to 2 to whatever it was for 5. Every wicket we started celebrating a bit louder, and we were trying to make sure that the boys on the balcony who'd been on the drink all day that were giving us some earlier could hear it back. And for every wicket that started to fall, the quieter they become. And then I'm sure we picked up a 6th wicket pretty quickly as well.
Yeah.
And then Paul Walker came out to the crease, and he must have only been young as well then.
I was thinking
I remember
he batted, I think he batted 7 or 8, which you would suggest he was a youngster then, 18, 19, because now he would bat top order without any shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, I think he was more, wasn't he? I think he was more of a bowler that whacked a few then, as opposed to now. I think he's probably more of a batsman, isn't he? That bowls a little bit. I guess it depends on what format. But yeah, he came out, and I remember whenever he came out, we used to hum the Addams Family music, because he was like Lurch, wasn't he? He's about 6'7", the fella. So we used to hum that music. But he hit a couple. But then the game finished in some style. Joe had Walter snicked off, caught behind, and then went through 10, went through 11. So Joe bowled a hat trick to win the game. I think, what did we bowl him out for in the end? 70 odd?
74, 75, something like that. Yeah, it wasn't close.
74, 75. I think to win the game by 80 odd runs when you've only posted 154. But Joe that day, what was he? I think 7 for
28.
20 odd, wasn't he?
Yeah.
7 for 28. And and that year, Christ, he bowled some overs that year. Poor boy, just bowled and bowled and bowled and bowled. But he bowled he didn't change. Did he bowl 14 overs straight? I think?
He bowled straight. Because obviously that day, you're talking about people you're missing. You had no Ben and no John Horn, who had been key bowlers for you that year. So.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and like you said, and no Bells as well. So you've almost got 3 people there. I mean, Chrissy May didn't get go with the ball because AB and Huntley bowled so well from the other end. Petchy didn't. Yeah, I remember Petchy that day though. Petchy was brilliant because I think he was quite a good hockey player. And I think he played a good standard, but he was just good on the field. He was just super competitive. So he was great to have around. Homer that day took a couple of catches. There was one, I think it was the first one in the gully. It was a really, really good catch, but it was just, it was just a really, really, really good day. And we was getting to the business end of that season as well. And that year, I'm sure we went up from Div 2 to Div 1 that year. But that was a big win. And also, you look at that Billericay side, there's still a few of those boys playing for Billericay now up in the Prem. So that was there was a decent side. So that was that was a big win, and definitely a game that sticks in the memory.
So did you have the best seat in the house watching Joe bowl that day?
Yeah.
Did you just think every ball was coming to me?
Do you know what? I mean, he bowled well all year. He bowled well that year. He bowled really well, and he bowled quick. And it was funny because he'd only just come over from Hadley, and they didn't really use him much as a bowler. I think one of the only times he bowled for Hadley was against us, and he went through us. He got a fifer at South Church Park. But he was, he was brilliant for us. And I think he was something for us to have, especially at the end, to kind of wrap up the innings in the tail, because he was quite quick, and he was definitely for that level and that standard. He was definitely very quick. And I think when he took the hat trick to win it, I'm sure the last 2 were LBWs. So fall straight to the new batsman. But he did bowl well that day. And I think as well, he missed out with a bat, didn't he? I think he got a duck. I think he got 3 or a 4-ball duck or something like that. Fourth ball ducks. It wasn't. Listen, he didn't know us anything, but he certainly took responsibility, and he bowled very well.
I can't imagine that their lower order tail were particularly keen to. If you're on the sideline and you see Joe running on that pitch, bumping quick, you're hoping your top order do it, because that's 70 for 8 or whatever it is. It's just the end. It's no way, isn't it?
No, you're not going to fancy it too much. No, like you said, especially on that deck. Yeah, that was a good hard wicket. It was a good cricket wicket, but you wouldn't fancy facing him on that. No,
that's good. So that season, Joe just gave you something different from the other seasons, would you say?
Yeah, I don't know. I've got no idea what his stats were, but I reckon he must have scored 800 odd runs. I reckon he must have got 35, 40 wickets. Yeah, definitely. And again, to be fair to him, he was at the start of that, almost that revolution, really. I know
Yeah.
there's been a few years that have gone before that, but he came across, he skippered his second year, brought a few of the boys across, the Wagstaff, Sammy Rowe, Drewsy, those types of boys. And to be fair, without, as much as I appreciate those boys aren't there now and they've moved on to pastures new, we needed those injections of those cricketers to get up to the next level. So Joe was good that year. Yeah, and he was quite humble that year as well. No, I'm only joking. He's always a humble boy, but he was.
He's always
But yeah, no, he was good. He was good to have around.
Great stuff. Okay, so we'll come back. The next game you've chosen, ironically, is the next game of the season, which is home to Bellis, 50 overs, straight win-loss, no draw.
Yeah, and this was bonkers, wasn't it? So when you and I were talking about this and trying to get a couple of games together, there was loads of games. I remember Max McNamara taking Sipfa and going through Harlow. I think the week after, I remember Max bowling out, Lee as well. There was so many different games to think about, but for some reason the Billericay game really stood out, and then this game, which was Bellis, and then when we worked out that they were the week after each other, that shocked me. I remember more about this Bellis game than Billericay. The Billericay game I didn't even realise that I skipped it, but this Bellis game I do, because we'd already played them. Obviously, this is towards the end of the season, so we played them up at their place earlier on in the season. And I can't remember which one of the Joyce brothers scored 100. I think they got up at their place. I think they got 250, 280 earlier on in the season. I think Joe got 100. I think Dainsy got runs up there, or knew he might have got some runs up there. But I remember they posted a big score and we chased it easy. So then we was down at our place. It was a warm day. We won the toss and stuck them in. And then we got absolutely put around the park. They got
was that
again,
your sorry, Dale, was that your way to field in 50 overs? You just prefer chase, or was it just a gut feel on the day?
It would typically depend how many beers I'd had on Friday. If I'd had a big Friday night, I'd say let's bat first, because that gives me an extra two and a half hours to get my head right. Also, a lot depended on the tea, because I was partial to whether it was a Mrs. Spears tea or a Mrs. Robbins tea. And sometimes I'd want to field first, so then I could take full advantage and eat as much as I could. Like Hornchurch away, for example, would always be a field first, wouldn't it? So you could take advantage of the tea. So I don't think there was ever a great amount of cricketing reasons behind whether we would bat or bowl first. Typically to do with my stomach, sort of the state my head was in, and pretty much whether or not myself and Spearsy wanted to get a suntan. So there's no real cricketing reasons behind it, but we put them in that day and they smashed us around the park.
Yeah,
340 odd they got, Scott. What did they end up with?
341 for 5. I'm just looking, and they were none for 180 at one point.
This is it. Yeah, so the opener Joyce got.
Yeah, one of the Joyces got 154, and then his brother came in and got 80 at the end.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so Joyce opened, and the other opener got 70 odd or 80.
Martin Gilbert,
The other opener got. That's right. So so that's right. So we won the toss and stuck him in. Cracking bit of captaincy from me there. Yeah, 180 odd for naught, and I'm losing the plot. And I'm sure, I don't think we've got the breakdown, but the last 10 overs they literally smashed us. And I think Joe went for 80 odd.
He did, yes.
Steve Hunt went round the park. Chrissy Mayer went round the park. I remember the only ones who bowled all right, Waff bowled all right, and Hassie bowled all right.
Yeah, they both went about 5s and 6s.
Yeah, Butcher went round the park. Everyone else went round the park. So I remember coming off between the innings and just losing the plot I was quite emotional as a skipper, which is probably not the best thing to do. And I remember giving the boys the batting order, and I went home. As I said, I had a flat just over the road, and I went home. I didn't have any tea. For me not to eat tea as well was saying something, but I just went home, had enough, blew up. And then I came back just as we were going out to bat. And it was Newman and Joe opened the batting. Got us off to an all right start. I think maybe 50, 60 off a none. Joe got most of them. Hassie would have batted 3. I think he come and went pretty cheaply. Got 12. And then this was a big partnership. And then Dainsy. And do you know what? Dainsy was someone that I rate Dainsy as a cricketer. He was someone who probably didn't do as well as he should have done for us. He played a good standard of cricket in the fire brigade. I think he played for the National Fire Brigade Service, and they would play against the army, the police, and all of those other types of teams. And he was a serious cricketer, Dainsy, but he just didn't. I don't know. He just didn't. He probably wasn't as consistent for us as he should have been. But that day, him and Newman batting unbelievable, and
So
they stuck on a massive.
You say about Ross Daines. If I was comparing him to a sort of a current player, the person I'd most put him to is probably someone like James Vince. Looks $1 million, both on and off the pitch, gets lovely 30s, and you think this guy's got it all, and then just finds a way to get out.
Yeah, do you know what with Dainsy? I always think this is maybe a bit of a cop out, but I think sometimes that type of cricket, the better standard of cricket he plays, the better a cricketer he'll be.
Yeah.
If he was to go and play, I don't know, some second 11, some minor counties, some of that fire brigade stuff, with those bowlers bowling that consistent line of length and playing on good decks, I think he would be. And this was Div 2, wasn't it? This was not, great. It was an all right standard of cricket, but it wasn't a fantastic standard of cricket. But and I just think that with Dainsy, like you said, he would look really pretty, wouldn't he? So, some of those drives through the covers and kind of through point and a backward point, he looked $1 million. But this day, he was, what did he get this day? 80 odd?
81.
So 81. He got 81. And then obviously we've not touched on Newman. And Newman was a funny one because there was a few times over that probably 2012 to probably 2014-15 where he went big a couple of times. And Newman would often be not scratchy for his first 50, but he would play a miss and he would just kind of grind it out. And I can't remember the breakdown this day, but I would expect that it was probably a fairly slow first 50. And then he just went bonkers. And what did he get? 140 odd?
144, he ended up with? I think, 144.
144. Yeah, I mean, that day he was fair. But this was also, I'm pretty sure, because we lost a lot of wickets. So because obviously chasing 340 and 50 overs, you've got to go almost 7 and over from the start. And I think that, we probably was at like 5 6s and over, probably for the first 20, 25, 30 overs. He went pretty big, but obviously, we lost a few wickets. Someone else got a decent 20 odd or 15
Spearsy.
odd.
I was Spearsy again. Spearsy got 20, where you had, I think Steve Hunt got 8 or 9. Chris Mayer might have got 8 or 9. There was lots of 8 and 9s.
Went, I think.
Pardon?
Waff came and went as
Waff
well,
came and went. But yes, that 20 from Spearsy looked really crucial. Just someone must have been quick. It just seems to make all the difference.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair to him, I mean, that's two decent knocks in 2 weeks for us. But he went in and got a few. Joe Sibbons? Did Joe Sibbs hit the winning runs? He was there.
The final pair was you and Sibbo in the last over. I didn't know if it was you hit the winning runs or Sibbo.
No, it would have been Sibbo. It wouldn't have been me. So that was just. But I just remember that whole game to chase. To chase 342 in a 50 over game is some chase. And I think, and also sometimes we'd get a bit of stick about South Church Park about the wicket. Obviously, as a place to play, it was great, and the clubhouse was great. But sometimes you used to get a bit of grief. It's a low and it's a slow wicket, especially from the likes of Bellis, where it's quite a good true wicket, and it's predominantly, I guess. I don't think it's private, is it? But I would have thought they've got their own groundsman on it who spend some time on it. But those types of clubs, or even like the Billericay's of this world, they would not get into you about your wicket. But I think that day for the best part of 700 runs to be scored, and 100 overs of cricket, just went to show what good wicket it was and what value for runs you could get if you did that well.
That's the thing. I was just going to say, chasing 340 at the club, it's not easy, 7 and over, but it's doable with a decent batting lineup. But you do need someone to go big, as Newman did that day. Yeah,
he did. And do you know what? And he was brilliant, Newey, wasn't he? Because he was such an unassuming. We'd all, he'd turn up in his whites, wouldn't he? He'd be doing his warm up in his whites, and we'd all be shaking our heads, thinking, "What are you doing?" But when you stick the bat in his hand, he was. Someone mentioned it in one of the other chats. I don't know. It might have been. I don't know who it was, but I remember he hit this 6 one day up at Colchester, and it was one of the biggest 6s I've ever seen. It was in a cup game on a Sunday, Newman. And he just had that ability, didn't he? He was pretty slow and grind out, but when he flicked the switch, he could go.
Yeah, I think that was Tommy Kent was saying that his first.
That's it, Tommy.
his first 50 could take 30 overs, and then his next 100 could take 30 balls. And he'd say, just like that, the switch could be flicked, and it's just a different gear, and he'd take good
Yeah, and
bowling
just on
apart.
that, yeah, and just on that, you just mentioned Tommy Kent, and someone else that I had to mention and get into this podcast today because he was a crucial part of our team was Tommy's dad, Pete. So Pete
Yeah.
came and scored for us, and he was brilliant. Pete, he was literally like not like our 12th man, but he was a big part of it. Yeah, Pete was brilliant to have around, and we touched on the teas earlier as well. Spears' mum, and then Joe Robb's mum when she took over. They're the things that make a cricket club. You know, if you look at that cricket club at the time, you know, what Stu Leslie did and Danny Saggers and, you know, Chris Young, people like yourself, Pat Kearney, you think of people like Kev Saul, you think Craig Carter, all of those types of people, the tea ladies, the scorers. You know, if you haven't got that, you don't have a cricket club. So all of those people that, you know, who was the Andy Wallace, you know, Jeff, you know, all of those people in the accounts and the finance that, and, you know, doing all of those emails behind the scenes. It's those people that run a cricket club. So as much as on the field, we had some good success that year. And we had a great time. John has touched on it. We used to have Spearsy tours. So the games would finish and we'd have a night out down a club and then we'd go into town and no one paid for a drink, no one paid to get in any clubs. It was loads of fun. And also the Pakistan shirt that Tommy had on the other week. So that came back. So that was actually that year as well. I brought that shirt. I'd been on holiday to see my mate in Spain. For some bizarre reason, he had this Pakistan cricket shirt. So I brought that shirt back, and like we had not quite the loser of the day, but whoever had been bad that day got awarded the shirt, had to wear it to the game next week. Something else Jonathan didn't mention, that shirt never got washed. So by kind of week 8, week 9, you know, that shirt wasn't smelling great. So when Tommy Kenton finally put it to rest, it probably wasn't a bad idea.
Did everyone a favour. That's it. I don't know if you saw the photo of him with it ripped halfway down.
I did. I remember that night in Talk. I remember that night very well on the dance floor. Yeah, that was a good one. But it was that type of stuff that you know, it was brilliant times at the club, and I guess it's been sad watching it a little bit this year. Obviously, from 10,500 miles away, and I know COVID's obviously didn't help, but it's been a bit sad in a way seeing the club almost kind of take a couple of steps backwards. But sometimes you've got to, haven't you, to rebuild it and grow it.
We're getting there. Stevie Hunt's captain the ones. We'll get there this year. We'll have to see what sort of season we have really at the moment. That's the main issue. But so small steps, but it'll get back to where it was just in time, I think. So that's all good. Yeah, just on your 2013. So after those 2 games, you had 4 more which were quite uneventful, and you then were promoted. Didn't quite win the league. Lost on the last day, I believe, at Lee.
Yeah, we ballsed that up a little bit because we'd actually, I think we knew going into that last game of the season, I think we needed a point to guarantee going up. And we went into it. It was probably poor on my behalf. We went into it. We fielded first. We got 3 wickets. We got the point. We knew we was up. And not saying we didn't take it seriously, but we'd almost probably celebrated the whole goal by the start of the year was to try and go up. Because I think we'd come down from Div 1 the year before, hadn't we? I think that's when we had EB playing and a couple of others. So the whole goal was to go up, and I think we did it. Whereas I think looking back on it now in hindsight, to win that league would have been really good for the club. But yeah, I remember that last game at Lee. I don't remember too much about those last couple of games. I just remember as a season, it was great when it was Joe's first year, and then Joe took the reins the year after. Yeah, I think Stu. What did Stewie say? Captain Ronseal. We got the job done. We did what we wanted to do. But it was good fun.
So that year, it was the ones went up. The 2s got. I think the 2s might have won their league, and the 3s got promoted.
They did.
So that was
because Tommy Kenton skippered the 2s, didn't he? Tommy Kenton skippered the 2s that year. Did you skipper the 3s?
I did. Yeah.
Yes,
so
that's it. Yeah,
good year for the club.
Big year for the club. Yeah,
big year. I think that night when you got back from Lee was quite a big night, from what I remember. Limited memory of it.
Yeah, I think I think that was the first year we did some. I think we did some really good finds, and I think we had about £800-900. I think that we stuck behind a bar. But yeah, it was a good year. Yeah, it really was a good year. Do you know what? And I was talking to, I've been playing cricket out here in Australia, and I worked it out. It's my 28th or 29th year this season of playing cricket. And that year, yeah, big fond memories. And I think, to be fair as well, you know, the 10 years that I played at Southend, brilliant. It was such a good, we had all that group of boys that were all at, not quite the same age, but all at a similar-ish type of age. And I think predominantly no one was married, no one had kids. Everybody pretty much had free reign. And it was as good off the field as it was on the field. And it was good on the field. It was successful. But yeah, it was definitely some good times off the field.
Did you fancy captaining the next year, or were you quite happy to go back into the ranks, let Joe take over?
Do you know what? No, absolutely. Because before, I mean, Spearsy was the one who managed to get Joe across, and there was lots of sort of succession planning and kind of thoughts in place. So no, I was more than happy to do the 1 year. I think I was vice skipper the year after for Joe's first year.
Yeah.
So I did that, and that was the only thing I didn't enjoy too much about captaincy was I used to like getting stuck into the oppo. I used to enjoy that, and I thought that was my job as the keeper, was to try and rattle a couple and see if you can like buy a couple of cheap wickets. And I think that when you was the captain, yeah, you could get away with it a little bit, but you did almost have to think, right, I've got to be, you've got to
set a little
the
example,
and you need. Well, not the best example some weeks, but yeah, you was meant to set some form of example. And I think that you should play it in the spirit of the game. So I think, honestly, almost that vice captain or just being a senior member of the side suited me quite well, I think, because then I could be as big as a sod as I wanted. I was going to say another word then, but as big as a sod as I wanted to be on the pitch. So I think that I loved it. It was a great year, and I'm delighted what happened in that year. But I think I was just as happy in the ranks with the boys. Spearsy at 1, who would be at 2? Johners would be at Gully, or Johners at 2, Homer at Gully. And I think I was quite happy there.
Great stuff. Well, Dale, thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure chatting. Some great memories there, mate. Hope all goes
pleasure,
well
boys.
In Oz. And
and I hope everyone's all right back home. I know it's not much fun, is it, at the moment? But I hope everyone has a nice Christmas, New Year, and I'll see you again.
Thank you very much for your time, Dale. Thank you very much.
Cheers.